Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, employees of the Monmouth County District Attorney's Office, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, Paul C. Metro, James Milling Jr., Penfield Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I have been in jail 6 times, and 6 times the prosecutor's not talked to court. There is not one sentence. There is not one word. There is not one syllable ever in court from a prosecutor making an argument that I've committed a crime. That's because I haven't committed a crime. What are the names of my prosecutors? And I've been demanding the names of these hacks and sociopaths for 18 months, and you hacks and sociopaths at the district attorney's office, to include Perry Duckles, the deputy district attorney, are refusing to tell me these names. This is the obliteration of my life. Well, own nothing and have nothing. Because my psychopath landlord, 80-year-old Anthony Spano of Fairport, New York, locked me out. My residence lived out for 8 years. This here is a document I sent to the New York State Department of Health in Albany. This is because of this 80-year-old man you would not arrest when I write the criminal complaint. It takes a court order to lock a citizen out. He's committed other crimes, like keeping my property inside the residence. I will detail a list of crimes that 80-year-old Anthony Spano has committed. And you will not arrest him, he will not be prosecuted. Nothing's going to happen to him. Because you hacks and sociopaths don't know what a crime is. Yet you'll concoct crimes for me. I have here a mail-in application for a copy of my birth certificate. New York State Department of Health. Because of 80-year-old psychopath Anthony Spano locking the doors and locking me out when I was in Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. Without a court order. I lived for 5 years in Washington, D.C. without a lease. I lived for 5 years in Albany, New York without a lease. I never had any concerns about my landlords doing to me the things that Anthony Spano has done to me. Because I had 10 years of experience living without a lease. And as I now know, as the Tenant Defense Project has told me and others, tenants without a lease nearly have the same protections as tenants with a lease. Nearly. There are things that are different. So this year, mail-in application for a birth certificate. Things happen to you in your life. You think about your friends and family members. When I worked in Albany for the majority leader and governor a long time ago in the 1990s for 8 years, my excellent friend John Signan was the official spokesman for the Department of Health. I used to go to see John there, and I would talk to John on the phone. For anybody would want to have. And here I am contacting his New York State Department of Health to get a copy of my birth certificate. And just like every friend in my life, which is a small circle, I have not told anybody what's happened to me. I will never tell my friend John Signan, New York State Department of Health, what's happened to me. Even though I'm probably going to see him again when I move back to Albany, which will be soon. I have to move, because I'll be arrested again by you hacks and sociopaths at the sheriff's office. You just show up and arrest me, because I've been followed and stalked. I'm going to talk to you when I contact the Department of Justice about double jeopardy on Penfield Road. I've talked about that numerous times on YouTube now. I'm going to go into detail. I'm going to put in the headline on YouTube, double jeopardy on Penfield Road. You're such a buffoon and stooge, you party-switching psychopath Todd Baxter. You arrested me twice for the fantasy and fiction of the head of Michael Houlihan, who concocted attempted felony assault on my back porch. Talked about that repeatedly. Perhaps I'll talk about that again. I still haven't gotten a copy of my birth certificate. My birth certificate was black and white, July 4, 1965. I look at it and think about my mother. It said 11:58 a.m. And I used to make a joke to my mother. Mom, you couldn't wait 12 minutes so I could say I was born at high noon? Because I love that film with Gary Cooper. For which he won the Academy Award in 1951. So it says, Christopher Chichester, Queens, New York, Brooklyn Memorial Hospital, Margaret Hennessy. That's my mother, Wayne Chichester. That's my father. Here's everything on here. I still haven't gotten it yet. This is on October 12th, 2022. Which my address is, my temporary address is 70 Liberty Pole Way. I'm at 70 Liberty Pole Way because Anthony Spano locking the doors and locking me out when I was in Livingston County Jail. And I didn't go home from Livingston County Jail. I went somewhere else north of Syracuse. I'm going to talk about that. I have not stated that particular place, I don't believe, in detail here. Where you're forcing me into these mental health evaluations where I'm being ruled competent. So, this is because of you. Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley. Here's the check. October 12th, I'm going to have to write this again because it didn't arrive. New York State Department of Health, $30. For my birth, says right here in the memo note, birth certificate. This is because of you. This is the obliteration of my life that began with then $67,000 psychopath Shannon Meyer, who you have not fired, and you gave a $16,000 raise. Am I New York's 4,000 time criminal? You bald-headed, skin-headed, Benito Mussolini's party-switching psychopath? Todd Baxter, how ludicrous is that? A warrant for my arrest from parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times. If it's a crime to walk through that parking lot once, it's a crime to walk through that parking lot 4,000 times. And that's what your $83,000 psychopath Shannon Meyer believes. And she's using civilians upon me like Steve Desert and Brock Poetry and Law Care. So, this is certified mail return receipt. This is on May 27th. It's going to arrive in your office on Monday. Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, Alex Renzi, who elevated me to Alex Renzi, the prosecutor signed Alex Renzi, and Trinity Ross, United States Attorney for the Western District of New York. So this is what you're going to get. I'm not going to read every one, but you're going to get 100 pages from the names of our prosecutors. I'll just read a few of these. This is going to arrive in your office on Monday. You, Perry Duckles, and your disgusting, sickening boss, Sandra Doorley, District Attorney, Monroe County, this party-switching, say-anything fraud, is going to refuse again to tell me names of my prosecutors. Your boss is going to look at this on Monday. It's dated May 24th. I mailed it. I just held up the receipts. Comply with the 17th Freedom of Information Law documents attached PDF dated May 24th, 2023. Read the 4 PDF attachments. Mail the names of my prosecutors, silence the address law in Rochester, New York. I prosecuted silence before. Penfield Town Court Judge John P. Metzer Jr., Penfield Town Court Judge Paul C. Metzer, New York State Supreme Court Judge Alex Renzi. So there's the link called Deviance on Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Central Judge Alex Renzi. Then these next 2 links, I'm again telling you at the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office to comply with the law and disclose the names of our prosecutors called Abyss, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra, and Judge Alex Renzi. And then on YouTube, Stupefied, Julie Sianco, language requires precision. This hack, Julie Sianco, owes her job to Sabrina Lamar in the Monroe County Legislature, is refusing to tell me the names of my prosecutors when the names are in her office as the public defender. She should be removed as public defender. When I contact every member of the Monroe County Legislature, I'm interested to see what their response is. I'm not going to say that you will be removed because I have faith in no elected officials. My default position is they're all corrupt. You can survive Julie Sianco as the public defender when I'm telling every single member of the Monroe County Legislature that you're refusing to comply with the law and tell me the names of my prosecutors. They can be just totally indifferent to me, will not care, it does not matter. And you'll keep your job as the public defender. Julie Sianco, what are the names of my prosecutors? Your refusal to answer that question when I appear in court and I have a prosecutor sign to me, and you have those names in that repulsive office at 10 Northfield Ditchy Street, is why you should be removed. Look at my face, Regina Harper and Mark Phillips. What are the names of my prosecutors that you have in your office? Quote, the prosecutor's not backing down. That's what you said to me, Regina Harper, about my concocted charges, fiction, and lies before $28,000 bald-headed widow Paul C. Metzer. So you know to name this boy, and I know what this boy looks like. I think I know his name. But you need to tell me so I have absolute certainty, because I'll pursue his disbarment with the Appellate Division of State Supreme Court. That's where attorneys disbar. I'm demanding these names because I will pursue disbarment for everyone. So right here, Penfield Town Court's John P. Metzer Jr. Is that Julie Hahn who's on Monroe County Court? Is that not Julie Hahn? Who's in there who's not the victor? Who's in there with 17% of the vote? A joke, these ballot access laws, a judge that's on Monroe County Court who's not the victor, just like Alex Renzi is in New York State Supreme Court with 24% of the vote. So, John P. Metzer Jr., is that Julie Hahn or not Julie Hahn? Paul C. Metzer, the 5'2" boy, I know what he looks like. So, New York State Supreme Court Judge Alex Renzi. One of you hacks sociopaths decided to force me into him. He's just not a hacker sociopath, the 18 at the hack conference. He is the hack, the supervising judge. Who did this to me? I'm getting ready to move back to Albany. I'm thinking I can hardly wait to get back there because I lived there for 10 years. And then I get this document in the mail, and that's why I'm still here. This hacking is sociopath that forced me into Alex Renzi is why I'm still in Rochester, New York. Who is it? So, this says right here, Saturday, February 18th. YouTube answers at First District Attorney Perry Douglas, Monroe County District Attorney's Office. You go to YouTube and type in what I just read. You'll see me talking to you on February 18th, telling you, Perry Douglas, to disclose the names of my prosecutors, and you refused. And here's another one here on February 16th. Sheriff Todd Baxter, $16,000 pay raise freak. The reason why I hold these two up first, before I get to the dates, is this is corruption. I'm telling you, Perry Duck has disclosed the names of my prosecutors to me on February 18th, and you refused. On February 16th, she's still employed. She has to be. She don't fire anyone. This revolting, sick hack, this Shannon Meyer began the destruction of my life. You gave her a $16,000 raise. And I've been in contact with you repeatedly before I got the payroll again and saw that you gave her a $16,000 raise, you Mussolini skinhead. Doesn't matter to you that she's a freak, Todd Baxter, because you're a freak. So, it's documentation. You have this over and over. Deviance. I'm telling you, disclose the names of our prosecutors. You're refusing. This year, on May 20th, this is the transcript of a TikTok that I have read, but this is in your office too. This describes how Richard J. Seidman stalked me into the Penfield Public Library and violently attacked me because one person wants to send me to jail. State legislature in Albany, Speaker Carl Heastie, Senate Majority Leader Andrew Stewart Cousins need to reform this law and hold hearings about one judge anywhere in the state of New York determining guilt or innocence, because innocent citizens are in jail. Any hack and any psychopath and any sociopath and any degenerate from Montauk Point to Buffalo and everywhere in between New York can sentence a citizen to jail, and that's insane. Because that's how you have insane Paul C. Metzler and insane John Pimentel Jr. in Penfield Town Court and insane Alex Renzi's $208,000 salary in New York State Supreme Court. So I go into detail. When I write a criminal complaint about just Richard J. Seidman, it's a $75,000 salary, he will not be fired because you're in the embrace of violence, Todd Baxter. So, on May 14th, this is corruption. May 14th right here. It says, stupefied Julie Sianka. May 14th, your name is right here. This is called stupefied. That when everybody at the district attorney's office, I only use an email once, then I discard it because I believe you cannot block me. But this is in your office too, at the district attorney's office, because I just sent it right here. And it's been in your office since this date. Right here, May 14th. You can see I'm telling this hack, Julie Sianka, this taxpayer-subsidized public defender, to tell me the names of my prosecutors, and she's refusing. Stupefied public defender Julie Sianka, psychopaths on Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra, Judge Alex Renzi, identification, prosecutors of silence for Monroe County public defender Julie Sianka. Julie Sianka sees this and blows me off, and that's corruption. That's why she should be removed as a public defender. So, Michelle Crowley, why didn't you call me to the grand jury? I'm your ham sandwich. Quote, you can indict a ham sandwich. You know what a new ham sandwich is in America? I'm a ham sandwich, Michelle Crowley. And here's a ham sandwich, too. Here he is. This is a ham sandwich, Donald J. Trump of the great Queens, New York. That's one thing we have in common. Me and Donald J. Trump, born in Queens, New York like me, indicted like me, and I'm sure he didn't know anything about these hacks and sociopaths, the Monroe County Attorney's Office planning to do to him what's happened to me with Alvin Bragg and Marquette Pomerantz. This is ham sandwich Donald Trump. I'm ham sandwich Chris Chichester. Because you, Michelle Crowley, how come you didn't call me to the grand jury? How's that answer? Look at my face, Michelle Crowley. How's that answer? Think about the best possible lie. Or, as I also know, corruption is silent. A target, grand jury of District Attorney Sandra Joy. I'm talking about you here, right again. TikTok foil, Michelle Crowley, grand jury. A target, grand jury of Sandra Joy. Foil, Michelle Crowley, grand jury. Well, I'm telling you to disclose information to me, Michelle Crowley, about the grand jury. How many grand jurors are there? When was the grand jury convened? What was the vote of the grand jurors? Does it require a majority? Does it have to be unanimous? Is there a transcript? All this information I've demanded from you. Disgusting, sickening $100,000 hack. Michelle Crowley. So, April 29th, cruelty. Comply with the Tax Freedom of Information Law, April 29th. Mail the names on prosecutor silence, the address bar, Rochester, New York. I have prosecutor silence for Lomenzo, Metzler, Renzi again. Fused identification. Go to basic word, March 30th. Same thing. Switch emails so you can't block me. Over and over and over. The same information. Freaks. freaks on February 26th. They're telling you freaks at the district attorney's office, disclose the names of my prosecutors. The FOIL's dated that day. You refused. What is wrong with you? I'm not asking that rhetorically. There's something wrong with you aside from corruption. What's wrong with you is vice. Vice is on here. District Attorney Sandra, Todd, Baxter, Alex, Renzi, Vice, February 19th. We're telling you again on February 19th, disclose the names of my prosecutors. And you're refusing. And that's insane sickness. Sickness, February 17th. Telling you hacks, sociopaths, District Attorney's office. On this February 17th, telling you disclose the names of my prosecutors. You're refusing every single time. And it really is mind-blowing to me that you refuse every single time to disclose information to me. This is February 12th, the cover letter, misconduct, Chief of Grand Jury Bureau, Michelle Crowley. This is in your office, the District Attorney's office. Sandra looked at it and blew it off. She even go into the office. She have a driver. Sandra Doorley wait in her driveway in Webster, New York, and does a chauffeur, come up to Sandra Doorley's residence in Webster and drive her to the District Attorney's office at 47 South Fitzhugh. Does that happen every day? Or does this pathetic, nauseating, sick diva who doesn't know if she's a Democrat or Republican drive herself into the office like an ordinary New Yorker? What's the answer? Does she even go into the office? Does she work a 40-hour standard work week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5? And you know the answer to that, Barry Douglas. Is she at home all week? Answer. Silence of violence on February 9th. The silence of the District Attorney's office is delivering me jokes and prosecutors never talked in court. I've been violently attacked by Richard J. Seaman at the Penfield Public Library, forced into Paul C. Metzler with the District Attorney's office not notified, driven to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. I was violently attacked at the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans, where you have 5 vehicles and 10 plus psychopaths arrived. Todd Baxter, one of your psychopaths exited his vehicle, ran at me, knocked me down. My head slammed down on the concrete pavement outside the pharmacy entrance. And then you put the handcuffs on me, and there I am in jail again. How's that explain? This is in your office, too. This is my letter to Robert J. Valenti, the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, who's helping me move, helping me with a number of things. I would be outside or at a temporary residence, at a shelter, if Robert J. Valenti, the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, to help me. Information, February 5th, the information, I'll go with the basic language. It's not inflammatory, just telling you to disclose information to me. The information of my prosecutor's silence, who refused. February 2nd, again, same thing, February 2nd. January 25th, this old man, Anthony Spano, 80 years old, locked the doors and locked me out. His son, 47-year-old Giuseppe Spano, was dead. He had multiple sclerosis. So my ex-girlfriend, when I'm in Livingston County Jail, went to where we used to live at 26 Sandra Drive and took nearly everything I owned to a storage locker in Webster. And it's been cleaned out and everything's gone now for multiple reasons. She didn't take my books. My 1,000 books are gone. In the residence is a washer and dryer that my sister Barbara Stematax of Glenwood, Maryland bought. And Antonino Spano rented the residence I used to live in where I'm locked out with a washer and dryer he doesn't own. That means this old man went down to the basement, said, here's a washer and dryer for the new tenants. The new tenants are using a washer and dryer that the landlord, Antonino Spano, doesn't own. I'm going to write this in the criminal complaint, too. This is January 25th, 2023, to my ex-girlfriend, Laura. I have known her for 35 years. I just think about her as she's an angel. I don't think about her as an angel anymore. I'm telling her over and over, prior to this, after this, what happened with my eviction? What did Anthony Spano say to you? I've said this to her in email, in voicemails. She's even refusing to call me back. I've been on YouTube about her. You type the name Laura Riley on YouTube plus my name, you'll see me talking to her on YouTube. So it says, tell me what happened with my legal eviction. My legal eviction, you participated in refusing to answer questions about. The law requires a court order to remove my personal possession, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, in Penfield, New York, to a storage locker, Webster, New York. Do you know that fact about the law? You left possessions to the residence. What has happened to me is insane. The question is, what individual called you to come to where we used to live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield, New York? Did the dead son, Giuseppe Spano, the father, Antonino Spano, call you? Did the dead son, Giuseppe Spano, or the father, Antonino Spano, use threatening language? Did the dead son, Giuseppe Spano, the father, Antonino Spano, state my personal possessions to be thrown in the trash? What did my sister Barbara say to you about paying for the storage locker? It is insane I have to ask these questions. Our relationship ended. I'm forced to demand answers from you because you decided to inject yourself into my life. You decided to be in my life under sick and delusional belief that you're somehow helping me. I don't know if this is your email that doesn't have your name and begins ludicrously with send. I don't know if you still live at 781 Winford Drive in Webster, New York. I don't know why you've refused to respond to some questions. I do know that you exist in a state of indifference to decency, despite the fact we lived at 3 different residences together. What's my name? Where am I from? How do you know me? Contact me. The address, Park Avenue below with the answers to these questions. Sign for your registered mail return receipt. When it arrives from me, you want to recognizable. YouTube for Laura Riley. Again, YouTube for Laura Riley. I'm contacting her on email, on YouTube. The registered mail return receipt I sent to her residence in Webster was returned to me. So, you've destroyed my relationships. We had an excellent relationship as friends before and after our relationship and living together ended. It's been obliterated. Every relationship in my life no longer exists because you, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra, Doorley, destroyed my life. And destroyed my life January 26th, right here. And these 5 links here is, and these 5 YouTube links can explain about 75% of what's happened to me. Fanaticism, perjurer, $73,000 Michael Hunan, violence, $75,000 Richard J. Sieben, rejection, accountability right here. I'm telling you on this January 26th that Michael Hunan lied under oath. Said I swung a hammer at him on my back porch. Michelle Crowley, is it legal for the cops to walk onto the private property of anyone in the state of New York and lie in wait? What's the answer? I don't know. You know. I'm going to write this down. You refuse to answer. When I say to you in writing, and when I copy Sandra and Todd Baxter, can the cops lie in wait on private property? You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. So, this is January 24th. The perfect 2-word sentence for you, Todd Baxter, Sandra, you freaks. I'm telling you, Jack, this is 70 freedom of informational documents on this January 24th that you refuse to comply with. And last one here, I'm just going to read. There's more than 50 in here. Ludicrous. Todd Baxter, Sandra, Judge Alex. This is April 5th. On April 5th, mail the names on prosecutor Cyrus listed below in Rochester, New York. Read the 6-tab PDF and resign. So, on this May 28th, again, May 28th, this is attached in PDF. These are 17. Information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra Todd Christopher Chichester. That is 1, the month day and year the grand jury is convened. The assigned District Attorney's Office employee that addressed the grand jury, the witnesses that testified to the grand jury, the vote of the grand jurors, transcript of the grand jury proceeding. You refuse to comply, Michelle Crowley and District Attorney Sandra because you're corrupt. That's why. This is Richard J. Sieben attacking me at the Penfield Public Library where I had $75 and 90 cents in my pocket. Send me a check. It's my money. The issuance of a new check to Christopher Chichester, address below, for an expired check in the amount of $61.39 from the County of Monroe Office of Sheriff May Fund account because that's the dollar amount in the pocket of Chichester when he's violently attacked the Penfield Public Library, $75,094, Richard J. Sieben, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Doesn't matter to you that he violently attacked me. Todd Baxter, Michael Rather, Scott O'Berty, winning $0, Michael Rather, $101,000 winning today. It doesn't matter at all. Is this Julie Hahn or is this not Julie Hahn? You know the answer. Perry Dukes refused to answer, and that's why you're corrupt. Is this Julie Hahn or not Julie Hahn? Mark Monahan, you refused to answer, and that's why you're corrupt. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester with John P. Lenzer Jr. Pound for Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sam's Doorley. Total silence is unbelievable to jail. This is a 5 2 inch 3-piece support. Documentation for the case for Christopher Chichester, Paul C. Mention Pound for Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sam's Doorley. Total silence is unbelievable to jail. Documentation for the case for Christopher Chichester for the New York State Supreme Court, Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sam's Doorley. Total silence is unbelievable to jail. How is any citizen one time delivered to jail when a prosecutor doesn't make an argument and talk to court? Insane. It's insane and ludicrous. You're insane and ludicrous at the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office. You'll never know. What's Paul C. Metzer doing with my private health care records, Todd Baxter? You gave him to her. My former employers, the United States Senate, United States House of Representatives, passed this Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act in 1996 to properly protect health care records. My health care records are not properly protected when Paul C. Metzer has them right in her hands. Copy of the private health care records delivered to $28,000 Penfield Town Court Judge Paul St. Metz by Sheriff Todd Baxter from Monroe County in violation of Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. My former boss, Congressman Lamar Smith, was on the House Judiciary Committee. And we'll be hearings on healthcare records. Todd Baxter, I remember being in a hearing when they were talking about privacy and properly protecting healthcare records. I'm sitting right there as Judiciary Committee had this hearing. And here's Paul C. Metzler with documentation in her hand that you gave to her. That's my private healthcare records where you're violating my privacy and federal law. Todd Baxter, this is it right here. Before I stay crazy, which you're crazy, Todd Baxter, because your $83,000 cop breach shadow model. This is it right here. This is the color photo. What's that called? Is that not a surveillance device? That's a surveillance device. Is that private technology? A 2025 penalty roll for business called Consumer Insights where Ellie Ross is president? Would you buy it and fix it for me? You Benito Mussolini skinhead. What's the answer? I believe if the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, Trinity Ross, asked you, you would refuse to answer because you're corrupt. The cost of a surveillance device purchased with taxpayer dollars by Monmouth County Sheriff Todd Baxter fixed to a building in 2025 penalty roll to monitor Christian charges 26 Sandra Drive. Walk through the parking lot next to the building. That's the lunatic fringe. I'm walking through the parking lot for the 4,000th time. This 50-year-old neighborhood child lives with his 70-year-old mother, begins to scream at me. I walk up to him. I say, what's the problem? We have this confrontation. As I'm walking away, he's still screaming at me. I give him the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. I tell him to fuck off and I walk away. And that's restraint with this guy. As I've said previously, I have known guys in Brooklyn, Long Island, that would have attacked him. He would have been pulverized. He would have been on the ground and attacked. The cost of taxpayers from Monmouth County Sheriff Todd Baxter spending taxpayer dollars to settle employee-related discrimination lawsuits fail to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is the payroll of the Sheriff's Office. I'll just open this up randomly to a page. And I'm going to see here a name. Is Caroline M. Josh at $82,428.64. Caroline M. Josh. Todd Baxter, if you cared about your employees, you'd call Caroline M. Josh into the sheriff's office and ask her if she's been sexually harassed. And what's the state of her employment as far as the behavior of the male employees? Because the male employees are animals, Todd Baxter. Caroline M. Josh can help you find the answer to that question. She could possibly be sexually harassed. The cost of taxpayers from Monmouth County Sheriff Todd Baxter spending taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fail to comply with Title VII Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is the most important law of the 20th century. I demand to know if you're in compliance with it. Same thing with you, Sandra Doorley, and Perry Duckles, and Mark Monahan, Michelle Crowley. The cost of taxpayers from Monmouth County District Attorney Sandra Doorley spending taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fail to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is the payroll for the District Attorney's Office. So, on it is, nobody on here is a $100,000 employee. Kelly E. Patron, 65,918.37 cents. Sandra Doorley, if you cared about your employees, you would ask Kelly E. Patron to come into her office and ask her about sexual harassment as she understands the term she's ever been sexually harassed. So there's Kelly M. Patron at $65,000, and the top name here is Bianca S. D'Angelo at $88,000. Bianca S. D'Angelo has greater empowerment to fend off sexual harassment because she's paid $23,000 more. The more money you're paid, the more power you have in an office. It's just the way it is. What's the answer? You're just the answer because you're corrupt. So, on a payroll for the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office, I believe that there are sexual harassment victims on each payroll here. Sheriff Todd Baxter, are the sexual harassment victims at the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office? District Attorney Sandra Doorley, are the sexual harassment victims at the Monmouth County District Attorney's Office? Tell me the answer. Yes or no. Your answer is silence, and that's why you're corrupt. You will never know you're corrupt. To this day, after he resigned in disgrace on March 13, 2008, and I was in Albany next to the Capitol that day, Elliot Spitzer does not know he's corrupt. That's why he ran for New York City Control 5 years later, and he was lost. Overtime, time and a half. Can your employees double their salaries? What's the answer? How is overtime, time and a half done? Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, just your salary? I believe the salary could be the salary, and that's at the District Attorney's Office. There's no doubt about it. There's overtime at the Sheriff's Office. Right, Todd Baxter? If I'm incorrect, disabuse me of that. Is there overtime time and a half at the sheriff's office and district attorney's office? How you pay your employees? Total cost of overtime time and a half, all paid beyond a base salary calculated at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Todd Baxter. Payroll for the sheriff's office. So on the payroll here is $96,972.46 George W. Wilsack. Can $96,000 George W. Wilsack be paid more money than you at $132,000, Sheriff Todd Baxter? What's the answer? When I contact Controller Thomas B. Knapp, I'll send him the transcript, and he'll be able to see that I've been saying this to you on YouTube. I understand if you don't watch me. I'm going to write this down. I have written this down. It's on this document here that's attached in PDF. You're refusing to answer because you're corrupt. Overtime, time and a half, your employees double their salaries. How's it done? There was no overtime when I was a state employee and federal employee. You know why? Because elected officials, the Assembly and the Senate, governor, members of Congress, the House and Senate, they don't want the liability of their employees existing in overtime and then having being reported in the Albany Times Union, the Washington Post, that employees are doubling your salary. You are increasing your salary by 50%. That's why. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, all paid on base salaries calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office for Sandra Doorley. Payroll for the District Attorney's Office. I'll go to the third page of the payroll here. How do you get everybody in that little shack? Not everybody's in that little shack because there are more than 100 names here. So we have on the payroll Jason Robert Espinoza at $51,000. Can Jason Robert Espinoza exist at $100,000 at the District Attorney's Office? I don't know. You know. Tell me. So Todd Baxter. Ludicrous, insane, ridiculous. Todd Baxter, your employees. I don't care if it's a private event. Is that taxpayer dollars? I ask you if this is taxpayer dollars, you tell me it's a private event. It could be a private event and tax dollars. The cost of photography session, photograph 10 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees underwater approved by Sheriff Todd Baxter. On this May 28th, falls attached with this date, May 28th. You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. Julie Sianka, you refuse to answer because you're corrupt. What do you pay at the public defender's office? How many public defenders are there? Tell me. Names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Public Defender's Office. Julie Sianka. When I contact Serena Barr and every member of the Monroe County Legislature, I'll tell the members of the Monroe County Legislature you're refusing to disclose that information to me. Names and salaries of every public employee at Pemberton Town Court, 1985 Bed Road, Pemberton, New York. It's $28,000 bald-headed widow Paul C. Metzer, $34,000 James Mullen Jr. Is just the old lady? Is Pemberton Town Court 3 people? Paul C. Metzer, James Mullen Jr. You two and the old lady. What's the answer? I'll talk to the council board in Penfield and tell them you're refusing to answer. I know you're going to refuse to answer. This Alex Renzi over there at the Hackocracy in New York State Supreme Court demanding the names and salaries of every public employee in the New York State Supreme Court under supervising Judge Alex Renzi down on Exchange Boulevard, Rochester, New York. It's not just him. He has a staff. There's no doubt about that. And he'll refuse to answer. This is why he's corrupt. $208,000. Who forced me into him? Is the prosecutor assigned to that? I'll try to get on my life. Will not be here in Rochester, New York. The prosecutor assigned to Alex Renzi didn't force me. But he remanded me to Monroe County Jail. I'm not going to say why, but I will soon. This is Ryan Fisher in Atlanta, Georgia, Todd Baxter. Have you been to Atlanta, Georgia, Todd Baxter? Have you been to Georgia? This was the flag until 2003. You Benito Mussolini skinhead. That's how alienated Georgia is from the United States of America. Flag is not this in New York. That's the flag of the state of New York. Excelsior. Latin means ever higher. Todd Baxter. Was Ryan Fisher in Atlanta, Georgia for a conference. There he is with his dog, his badge, and Monroe County Sheriff Office employees. What's the answer? Sheriff Todd Baxter of Monroe County about why your employee, Ryan Fisher, is in the deep south of Atlanta, Georgia here. I'm going to tell you how to be corrupt, Todd. Don't go to Twitter and tweet about your employee being 1,000 miles away in Atlanta, Georgia. As we get ready to watch Super Bowl, we're grateful for the men and women assigned to keep fans and players safe in Atlanta, including MCSO's Deputy Ryan Fisher and K9 Lola. Deputy Fisher sent this photo from Atlanta Exclamation Mall. Thank you both for your service. 1, this is not service, it's a junket. 2, he's not keeping anybody safe. He's having a good time. Again, the 1984 of you at the sheriff's office, how you abuse language, how you exist, totally alienated from the truth. Freedom of Information Law. They just made 28 the cost of a hotel and plane ticket for Montgomery County Sheriff's Office employee Ron Fisher to attend a Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019. May 28th, 2023. Attached in PDF with today's date. Contract for firearms. When I contact Thomas B. Napoli, you'll see that I've demanded this repeatedly. Contract signed by Sheriff Todd Baxter to purchase firearms from Montgomery County Sheriff's Office employees to include the name of the firearms contractor, the number of firearms purchased, total amount of taxpayer dollars spent to purchase firearms. So that's it. It's all attached in PDF. You got it? You can refuse to comply with every one, including who is it, who the freaks. I know what they look like. I know what 2 of them look like. Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court said I was finished and done. That's not true. You can use pretrial services. Jamie Ballard or somebody else. One of you hacks, sociopath, will force me back at Alex Renzi or some other court just to be declared guilty where I have no due process. I have never had any due process. I have never been defended in court. You're just compelling me to appear in front of these corrupt judges where I'm declared guilty and there I am in jail. So, Paul C. Metzer, is everybody guilty? Haven't opened this yet. Seal's not broken. I demanded a list of defendants in Pamphlet Town Court. Is everybody guilty? My friend, Adam, had to go into Pamphlet Town Court. He uses a word for John P. Lomenzo Jr. that begins with a C that has 4 words that I agree with. That's how much he hates John P. Lomenzo Jr. That's because the same thing happened to him and it happened to me. Prosecuting talk in court, jail, no due process. He's smashed into a million little pieces. He hates John P. Lomenzo Jr. with the same intensity I do. We direct defendants away from the Pamphlet Town Court, then you will not have innocent citizens in jail. So everything I read there, received on April 27th, received on May 18th, and you refused. You refused because the law is a joke to you. You refused because you're corrupt. Over and over and over, I'm demanding you disclose the names of my prosecutors, and every single time you refuse.
First Assistant District Attorney Perry Douglas. My name is Chris Chester. I live in Rochester, New York. I have been in jail 6 times. And 6 times, prosecutor from the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley, has not talked in court. Perry Douglas. What are the names of my prosecutors? I've contacted your office via YouTube and demanded this information. Disclosure of the names of prosecutors assigned to my court appearances. I've contacted your office via registered mail return receipt. The Marion Master that I don't signs for it. I've contacted your office via UPS, where it's tracked. I've contacted your office via Federal Express. I've contacted your office via email. Over and over and over. First Assistant District Attorney Perry Douglas, I'm demanding of you, you disclose the names of prosecutors assigned to my court appearances who have never talked to court, Perry Douglas. Look at my face, you disgusting hack. What are their names? Christopher.Chichester@mail.com. I'm going to repeat that for you. Christopher.Chichester@mail.com. You, according to your biography, were an assistant district attorney in the local courts bureau. So what that means, Perry Douglas, is you have been in these disgusting courts in Monroe County where one judge like Paul C. Metzer in Pamphlet Town Court or John P. Lomenzo Jr. and James C. Monk Jr. in Pamphlet Town Court decide guilt or innocence, and that's a disgrace. Every single defendant is guilty in Pamphlet Town Court. Do you agree, Perry Douglas? They don't know how to acquit anyone. Paul C. Metzer, John P. Lomenzo Jr., James C. Monk Jr. Because what it is a de facto office for the district attorney's office. And you have been at the district attorney's office since 2003. Have you ever stood in court, Perry Douglas, and not talked as a defendant is delivered to jail? How is any citizen in the United States of America delivered to jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? Answer me. Quote, conviction integrity unit, end quote. That's language on your official website of the district attorney's office. You need a conviction integrity unit because innocent citizens are in jail when prosecutors don't talk in court. And what are the names of my prosecutors that don't talk in court? Regina Harper, the Monroe County Public Defender's Office, refuses to to disclose names like prosecutors. She said to me at one point about this boy whose likeness I know, but whose name I don't know. Christina said to me, quote, the prosecutor's not backing down. He's a real Rambo, Perry Douglas. Not backing down, total silence. What's his name? He's a prosecutor assigned to my appearance before this bald-headed widow, Paul C. Metzler. Christopher.Chichester.mail.com, Perry Douglas. Disclose the names of my prosecutor's silence, and you will refuse because you, Perry Douglas, are corrupt.
You'll still refuse because you, Perry Douglas, are corrupt. Just like your boss, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. You're all corrupted at District Attorney's office. Every single one of you. So, this is what the guy's wearing on his head from Broccoli Tree and Lawn Care. When he comes by my residence at 7 o'clock in the morning where I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield, because the tractor's so loud on land that has no ownership. Todd Baxter, you will have to say it's a crime for me to walk outside and tell a man on his tractor nobody owns the land next to my residence will walk back on my residence. You'll have to say it's criminal contempt. How do you surround yourself with this cop-free Shannon Moore? You know why you should fire? It doesn't matter what's happened to me in violating my civil and constitutional rights. This cop, Shannon M. Meyer, an $83,000 salary, will violate the civil and constitutional rights of other citizens. She should never get her 20. I know what she looks like. I don't believe that she is at the age where she has 20 years. She should be fired, forced out, or terminated. And you won't do that, Todd Baxter. It takes someone like Brandy Cadiz, who robs a gas station, I believe it was a gas station, on Ladder Road for you to fire someone. So, this is corruption here on January 24th and October 16th of last year. You refuse to comply with both of these. I think I've written freedom of information law, it could be 2,000 times. Todd Baxter, you as a veteran know that there's the courts martial and the Article 15. What's the disciplining process? The sheriff's office. Every time I mention a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee's name, like Richard J. Seaman, who violently attacked me, he should be disciplined and fired. And you don't have disciplinary process. I'm trying to find that out too. And you're refusing to answer. The internal disciplinary records documentation of employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd Baxter, that Sheriff Todd Baxter is disciplined, reprimanded, terminated from employment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Sandra Doorley got the same thing on October 16th of last year, 2022. Again, this is why you're corrupt, Sandra Doorley. How do you get your copy machines, your desks, your pencils, your pads, your chairs, every single thing in that district attorney's office is taxpayer dollars? What's the contracting? Total number of contracts signed by District Attorney Sandra Doorley to purchase products, commodities, goods, and materials from Monroe County District Attorney's Office, January 24th. When I send this to Thomas P. DiNapoli, and I have to convince him to audit you, Sandra Doorley, I'll tell the controller of the state of New York that I sent this to you and you're refusing. So, what is wrong with you? I'm not asking that rhetorically. There's something wrong with you employees at that district attorney's office, sheriff's office. Are you under some kind of delusion that when you say you work for the district attorney's office, sheriff's office, that people in Monroe County are supposed to have admiration for you? I can't speak for the hundreds of thousands of individuals in Monroe County, but I believe that that's insane. I do not know if there is any type of level of hatred of the district attorney's office. That's what I have for you as sociopaths, because I've been in jail 6 times and 6 times in prosecuting talk court. On my 50th birthday, July 4, 2015, I have a speeding ticket in Albany, New York, speeding ticket in Washington, D.C. I didn't suddenly become a criminal. What I did is move to Monroe County, and I'm surrounded by the criminals in the district attorney's office, criminals in the sheriff's office. So, it was 17 and that 4. And I'm going to put this in the mail. You will sign for it in the next 48 to 72 hours, and you will comply with 0 Freedom of Information Law documents to include identification on prosecutor's silence, because you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, and you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, are corrupt. My name is Christopher Chichester. I've been an innocent man my whole life.